तुम जहां से भी घुसने की कोशिश करोगे, सामने एक हिंदुस्तानी फौजी खड़ा पाओगे जो आंखों में आंखें डालकर आवाज कहां तक जानी चाहिए? कहां तक? कहां तक? कहां तक?
Welcome back to CineFacts, the place where we break down the biggest, boldest, and most talked about films for true cinema lovers. In today's video, we're diving into Border 2, a high-octane sequel that expands its universe with bigger stakes, sharper action, and a darker, more intense narrative. Building on the foundation of its predecessor, Border 2 pushes its characters into a brutal new conflict where survival is never guaranteed and the line between hero and villain grows dangerously thin. From explosive set pieces to a story driven by ambition, revenge, and power, the film aims to raise the scale while keeping its emotional core intact. What truly defines Border 2 is its relentless pace and world building, blending stylish visuals with gritty storytelling to create an experience that feels both larger than life and deeply personal. The film explores themes of loyalty, consequences, and the cost of crossing moral boundaries, all while delivering adrenaline-fueled sequences designed to keep audiences on the edge of their seats. In this video, CineFacts takes you through the film's story expansion, character arcs, action design, and overall impact, breaking down whether Border 2 succeeds in surpassing the original and carving out its own identity as a powerful sequel in modern genre cinema. Negation Dayan. Border 2 is a 2026 Indian Hindi-language epic action war film co-written and directed by Anurag Singh, conceived as a standalone sequel to J.P. Dutta's iconic 1997 classic Border. Produced on a large scale by Bhushan Kumar and Krishan Kumar under the banner of T-Series Films, in collaboration with J.P. Dutta and Nai Dutta of J.P. Films, the film revisits the emotionally charged and historically significant backdrop of the India-Pakistan War of 1971 while significantly expanding its narrative and cinematic scope. Unlike its predecessor, which primarily focused on a single battlefield, Border 2 unfolds as a sweeping multi-front war drama that showcases the coordinated efforts and sacrifices of all three wings of the Indian Armed Forces: the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy, presenting a more comprehensive portrayal of modern warfare. The film is headlined by Sunny Deol, returning to the franchise in a commanding lead role, and features a powerful ensemble cast including Varun Dhawan, Diljit Dosanjh, and Ahan Shetty, each portraying key military characters drawn into the intensity and human cost of war, while Mona Singh, Sonam Bajwa, Anya Singh, and Mehta Rana appear in pivotal supporting roles that add emotional depth to the narrative. Officially announced on June 13, 2024, to mark the 27th anniversary of the original Border, the project went into production in early 2025. With extensive filming conducted at authentic military locations such as Jhansi Cantonment, Babana Cantonment, and the National Defense Academy in Kadakwasla, along with undisclosed Air Force and naval bases to maintain realism, emphasizing technical accuracy and scale. The makers utilized real defense installations, including the aircraft carrier INS Vikrant, and mounted large-scale combat sequences across varied terrains from the plains of Punjab to the rugged landscapes of Uttarakhand and the harsh deserts of Rajasthan, underscoring the physical and emotional toll of battle. Released theatrically on January 23, 2026, strategically timed with the Republic Day weekend, Border 2 was met with positive critical reception, with praise directed toward its grand vision, performances, and its respectful yet expansive tribute to the courage of Indian soldiers. Set against the sweeping and volatile backdrop of the India-Pakistan War of 1971, the film follows an Indian Army battalion stationed at a remote and strategically critical desert outpost along the western frontier, a position isolated by vast terrain, unreliable communication lines, and the constant threat of enemy movement. Far from reinforcements and modern support, the soldiers endure punishing heat, limited supplies, and long stretches of uncertainty as they prepare for an anticipated enemy offensive. The narrative opens by grounding the audience in the everyday realities of life at the border, soldiers reading letters from home, sharing jokes in makeshift shelters, observing quiet rituals, and forming deep bonds forged through shared hardship, establishing a strong emotional core before the conflict escalates. The battalion is led by Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, a seasoned, resolute, and compassionate commander whose battlefield experience is matched by his unwavering concern for the lives of his men. Serving under him is a young and idealistic lieutenant, driven by ambition and a desire to prove his worth, whose impulsive courage often clashes with Fateh's measured leadership, creating moments of friction that gradually evolve into mutual respect. As intelligence reports confirm an imminent large-scale enemy assault aimed at breaching the border through their sector, the battalion is ordered to hold the post at all costs, knowing that its fall would open a vital route for enemy forces. Before dawn, the enemy launches a ferocious and coordinated attack involving heavy artillery, advancing tanks, and airstrikes, plunging the outpost into chaos as the soldiers scramble to fortify trenches and sand dunes, relying on defensive formations, guerrilla tactics, and improvised battlefield strategies to counter a numerically and technologically superior force. Amid relentless bombardment, the men fight in brutal close-quarters encounters, risk their lives to ferry ammunition under fire, and pull wounded comrades to safety, while the young lieutenant distinguishes himself by disabling an enemy tank during a daring assault that turns the tide locally. As the conflict widens, the film underscores the scale of the war through parallel operations, with the Indian Air Force intercepting hostile aircraft overhead and the Indian Navy executing diversionary maneuvers at sea, reinforcing the sense of a nationwide military effort. With casualties rising and supplies running dangerously low, exhaustion and doubt creep in, but Colonel Fateh steadies his battalion, reminding them that their stand is buying precious time for reinforcements and could determine the outcome of the broader campaign. Night raids, ambushes, and sabotage missions follow, highlighting the soldiers' ingenuity, resilience, and quiet heroism, while the young lieutenant volunteers for a perilous mission deep into enemy territory to destroy an artillery position, marking his transformation from an eager newcomer into a hardened officer shaped by loss and responsibility. When a surprise flanking maneuver threatens to encircle the battalion, hope arrives from an unexpected source as a soldier previously presumed dead infiltrates the enemy camp and sabotages their communications and ammunition stores, delaying the assault long enough for reinforcements to arrive. At dawn, Colonel Fateh leads a decisive counteroffensive, uniting his remaining forces with the newly arrived support in a climactic battle marked by tank engagements, intense infantry combat, and precise airstrikes, while the young lieutenant returns to the front lines to rescue trapped soldiers and neutralize enemy sharpshooters, and Fateh himself confronts the opposing commander, sealing the victory through resolve and leadership. In the aftermath, the battlefield falls silent as the survivors gather to honor their fallen comrades, carefully collecting personal belongings, sending final letters to families, and standing in solemn remembrance. with the young lieutenant now visibly matured by the experience saluting those who did not return, as Colonel Fateh reflects quietly on the cost of command and sacrifice before rejoining his men. The film closes with a powerful tribute to the courage, unity, and selflessness of soldiers who fight not for recognition or glory, but for each other and for the defense of their homeland. The film features an expansive and meticulously curated ensemble cast that brings together portrayals of key military figures from the Indian Army, Air Force, and Navy, along with their families and opposing forces, lending both scale and emotional depth to the narrative. Sunny Deol headlines the cast as Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, a resolute Indian Army officer from the 6th Sikh Regiment, a character loosely inspired by the legendary Major Gen. Hardev Singh, MVC, AVSM, whose leadership and moral strength form the backbone of the story. Varunda essays the role of Major Hashir Singh Dahia, PVC, an officer from the 3 Grenadiers, portraying a brave and determined soldier whose battlefield valor is matched by personal sacrifice, while Diljit Dosanjh appears as Flying Officer Nirmaljit Singh Sekhan, PVC, of the Indian Air Force's No. 18 Squadron, capturing the courage and youthful heroism of a fighter pilot who takes to the skies in defense of the nation. Representing the Indian Navy, Ahan Shetty plays Lieutenant Commander Mahendra Singh Rawat of the 14th Frigate Squadron, a role inspired by Captain Mahendranath Molla, MVC, highlighting the naval dimension of the conflict. The emotional stakes are further strengthened through the depiction of the soldiers' families, with Mona Singh as Fateh's steadfast wife Simi Kalar, Sonam Bajwa as Manjit Sekhan, the devoted wife of Nirmal, Meta Rana as Dhanvanti Devi Dahia, Hashir's supportive spouse, and Anya Singh as Sudha Rawat, Mahendra's wife, each reflecting the silent strength and anxiety of those waiting on the home front. Supporting the frontline narrative are Paramvar Chima as Subedar Nishan Singh of the 3 Grenadiers, Anurag Singh as Subedar Ram Singh of the 6th Sikh Regiment, and Vansh Bardwaj as Subedar Santram, all portraying seasoned junior commissioned officers who embody discipline and battlefield experience, while Ishika Gaganja, Hartip Gill, and Nita Mohindra appear as Nirmal's sister and parents, adding generational and familial context to his journey. Gneet Sandhu, who plays Captain Angad Singh Kalar, Fateh's son and an Indian Army officer from 7 Sikh, symbolizing legacy and continuity of service. On the opposing side, Vaquer Sheikh portrays Pakistan Army Colonel Muhammad Yunus Khalid, with Madhur Arora as General Yahya Khan, and several actors including Ali Mughal, Ujjwal Goraha, Saad Bubba, Shahid Latif, and Gaurav Puri depicting Pakistani military personnel across the Army and Navy, presenting the adversarial forces within the broader conflict. The cast is further enriched by numerous character actors portraying fellow soldiers, villagers, commanding officers, Air Force and naval officials, and civilians, creating a lived-in wartime world. The film also features notable cameo appearances by Sunil Shetty as Assistant Commandant Bairan Singh Rathore, SM, Akshay Khanna as Second Lieutenant Dharamvir Bakri, Uniti Sar as Subedar Ratan Singh, VRC, and Sudesh Berry as Naib Subedar Mathur Das, SM, all reprising characters connected to the historic Battle of Lonjwala, serving as a symbolic bridge between Border and Border 2 and reinforcing the film's tribute to real-life bravery and military legacy. The development of Border 2 was formally set in motion on June 13, 2024, when J.P. Dutta, Bhushan Kumar, and Sunny Deol officially announced the long-awaited sequel, deliberately choosing the date to coincide with the 27th anniversary of the original Border, a film that had attained cult status in Indian war cinema. The announcement immediately generated widespread attention, as it confirmed the return of Deol from the original cast while strategically keeping the remainder of the lineup under wraps, signaling the maker's intent to approach the sequel with both scale and sensitivity. Sunny Deol was offered the lead role in the aftermath of the massive commercial success of Gadar 2, 2023, which reaffirmed his box office pull and re-established him as a dependable mass action star. Although J.P. Dutta had first proposed the idea of a Border sequel to Deol as early as 2015, the project remained dormant for several years due to a string of underperforming films in Deol's career. as well as his own hesitation to revisit a legacy title without a compelling narrative foundation. Deol was particularly cautious about the sequel, insisting that the story must provide a meaningful evolution rather than a nostalgic repetition, as he did not wish to disappoint audiences who held the original film in high regard and now expected the same emotional and patriotic impact that he had recently delivered with Gadar 2. Following the resurgence of his career and his satisfaction with the script, Deol ultimately agreed to lead the film, taking on the role of Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, an Indian Army officer loosely inspired by Major General Hardev Sinkler, thereby anchoring the sequel in both legacy and realism. Casting for the supporting leads went through multiple phases, marked by speculation and shifting reports. Actor Yashmin Khurana was widely rumored to have been offered the role of Major Hashir Singh Dahia, but subsequent media coverage suggested that he was no longer associated with the project, with no official clarification provided on whether he chose to opt out or was replaced by the producers, leaving his exit a subject of industry speculation. The role was eventually finalized with Varun Dhawan, whose casting was formally announced alongside Deol, Diljit Dosanjh, and Ahan Shetty, establishing the film's principal ensemble. Dhawan's involvement was soon reinforced by the circulation of behind-the-scenes footage from the sets, which firmly confirmed his presence in the project. Diljit Dosanjh was signed on to portray Indian Air Force officer Flying Officer Nirmaljit Singh Sekhan, a decorated war hero, although his participation briefly became uncertain amid rumors that he had stepped away from the film due to external project-related controversies. Despite the ambiguity surrounding his status at the time, it was later clarified that Dosanjh remained an integral part of the cast and would appear as one of the film's key leads. Ahan Shetty joined the ensemble as a fresh addition to the franchise, with his casting officially announced by Sunny Deol himself, and was assigned the role of Lieutenant Commander Mahendra Singh Rawat of the Indian Navy, a character inspired by the real-life hero Captain Mahendranath Molla, thereby extending the film's narrative reach into naval warfare. The casting of the female leads was designed to strengthen the emotional dimension of the story by focusing on the families of the soldiers. Mona Singh was cast opposite Sunny Deol as Simi Kalar, the wife of Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, bringing emotional gravitas to the role of a military spouse navigating anxiety and resilience on the home front. Sonam Bajwa was cast opposite Diljit Dosanjh, portraying Manjit Kaur Sekhan, the devoted wife of Flying Officer Nirmaljit Singh Sekhan, further emphasizing the personal sacrifices entwined with wartime duty. During this phase, several media reports suggested that actress Rashmika Mandanna had been approached for one of the remaining female lead roles for a rumored remuneration of a superscript 1 to a 3 crore, though this casting was never officially confirmed. The role opposite Varun Dhawan ultimately went to Medha Rana, who plays Dhanvati Devi Dahia, the wife of Major Hashir Singh Dahia, while Anya Singh was cast opposite Ahan Shetty as Sudha, the wife of Lieutenant Commander Mahendra Singh Rawat. Together, the carefully assembled cast reflected the filmmaker's intent to balance large-scale military spectacle with intimate human stories, ensuring that Border 2 honored the legacy of its predecessor while expanding its emotional and narrative scope. Border 2 was released theatrically on January 23, 2026. A strategically chosen date that aligned with India's Republic Day weekend, allowing the film to capitalize on heightened patriotic sentiment and a nationwide holiday period. The promotional campaign for the film began months in advance, with the first official poster and the confirmed release date being unveiled on the occasion of the 79th Indian Independence Day, a move that immediately drew widespread public and media attention. The poster prominently featured the film's stirring tagline, Hindustan Khalid and Jia Broken Bar for Ek Bar, "We will fight for India Broken Bar once again," which deliberately echoed the emotional and nationalist tone of the original Border while signaling a renewed commitment to honoring the sacrifices of Indian soldiers. This reveal reinforced the film's positioning as a large-scale patriotic war drama and helped build anticipation among audiences familiar with the legacy of the franchise as well as a new generation of viewers. Upon release, the film generated strong discussion both domestically and internationally. However, it also faced restrictions abroad, as Border 2 was banned in several Gulf Cooperation Council (GCC) countries, where authorities reportedly viewed its portrayal of the 1971 conflict as containing content perceived to be anti-Pakistan. The ban underscored the politically sensitive nature of the subject matter and highlighted how the film's depiction of historical events resonated differently across regions, even as it continued to attract attention and debate for its unapologetically patriotic narrative. Border 2 opened to a largely positive critical and audience response, with many reviewers and viewers welcoming it as a thunderous, emotionally driven war epic that respectfully carries forward the legacy of J.P. Dutta's 1997 classic. Critics frequently highlighted the film's balance between large-scale military spectacle and human emotion, praising its intent to honor real-life soldiers while expanding the scope of the original narrative. On the review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes, the film registered a 73% approval rating based on 11 critics' reviews, indicating a broadly favorable consensus. Trade analyst Trinadarsh was among the film's strongest advocates, awarding it an emphatic 4.5 out of 5 stars and declaring it outstanding in his review shared on January 23, 2026. He described Border 2 as a thunderous, emotionally charged war epic that successfully pays homage to the original while standing firmly on its own, applauding director Anurag Singh for skillfully blending scale, sentiment, and patriotism. Darsh singled out Sunny Deol as the film's beating heart, praising his commanding screen presence and righteous intensity, which he felt anchored the narrative throughout. Bollywood Hungama echoed similar sentiments with a 4.5-star rating, commending the film's writing, direction, emotional weight, performances, and action choreography, while noting minor drawbacks in certain visual effects and suggesting a slightly tighter runtime. Simran Singh of Daily News and Analysis also awarded the film 4.5 out of 5 stars, calling it one of the finest war films in recent years and stating that the makers were deeply attuned to audience sentiment, delivering a war drama she believed would become a future classic and a benchmark for the genre. News 18 rated the film 4 out of 5 stars, with Grace Cyril praising its deliberate pacing and refusal to rush into combat, arguing that the emphasis on training, family life, and interpersonal bonds ensured the soldiers were portrayed as fully realized individuals rather than faceless figures, thereby amplifying the emotional impact of the war sequences. Reviews from Filmfare, Rediff.com, and Hindustan Times were more measured yet appreciative, each awarding the film 3.5 out of 5 stars. Devesh Sharma of Filmfare noted that the film worked best as a tribute rather than a reinvention, celebrating inter-service unity and familiar patriotic spectacle, while Deepa Galot observed that the film's strength lay in its humane portrayal of soldiers as people first, and Rishabh Suri described it as sincere and stirring despite occasional excesses. More mixed responses came from the Times of India, the Indian Express, NDTV, and First Post, with ratings ranging from 3 stars to 2 stars, where critics acknowledged the film's technical competence, emotional resonance, and Sunny Deol's powerful presence, but raised concerns about jingoistic undertones, uneven treatment of opposing forces, and an over-reliance on the glory of the original film rather than deeper psychological exploration. Commercially, Border 2 proved to be a monumental success at the box office, emerging as the highest-grossing Indian war film of all time. The film decisively surpassed the lifetime collections of its predecessor Border, 1997, and overtook the records held by several landmark war and patriotic films, including Hockey Cat, 1964, Lalkar, 1972, Luck, Kargil, 2003, Lakshya, 2004, Yuri, The Surgical Strike, 2019, and Kasari, 2019. Driven by strong word of mouth, festive timing, and widespread audience interest, the film witnessed rapid growth at the global box office, amassing an impressive worldwide gross of a superscript 1396.03 crore within just 10 days of its theatrical release. This extraordinary commercial performance cemented Border 2 not only as a critical talking point but also as a historic box office phenomenon within the Indian war film genre. One about the movie: watch it for Sunny Deol's roaring presence, its rousing spirit, and the emotion it wears proudly on its sleeve. Cast Border 2 movie review. Sunny Deol roars while Diljit Dosanjh shines in a war drama that doesn't redefine the genre. The overall critics' rating is not an average of the sub-scores above. Story. Border 2 continues the legacy of the 1971 Indo-Pak War, portraying fierce battles beyond Lonjwala, including the Battle of Basant and Operation Chengiz Khan, highlighting courage, sacrifice, and strategic warfare. Review. Border 2 arrives carrying the towering legacy of J.P. Dutta's 1997 classic Border, a film that defined patriotic war cinema for an entire generation. With such a formidable predecessor, expectations are naturally sky high. Director Anurag Singh steps into this daunting space with confidence, crafting a sequel that clearly understands the emotional soul of the original while upgrading its scale, spectacle, and storytelling for contemporary audiences. While Border 2nd may not recreate the once-in-a-generation impact of its predecessor, it succeeds as an emotionally charged and crowd-pleasing war epic that largely delivers on its promise. Set against the backdrop of the 1971 Indo-Pak War, the film ambitiously unfolds across three fronts: land, air, and sea. This multi-layered narrative structure gives Border 2 a broader cinematic canvas and a strong sense of national scale. Hoshiyar Singh, Varun Dhawan, represents the Indian Army on the ground. Nirmaljit Singh, Diljit Dosanjh, commands the skies as a fearless Indian Air Force pilot, while Mahendra Rawat, Ahan Shetty, leads naval operations in the Arabian Sea. Binding these three men as their mentor, Fateh Singh, Sunny Deol, now a legendary officer commanding troops at the border. As coordinated enemy attacks threaten the nation from all directions, the story steadily builds toward an urgent call for leadership, courage, and sacrifice. Where Border 2 truly succeeds is in capturing its emotional undercurrents, even though its action sequences do not always match the gritty believability of the original. Thankfully, the film does not rely solely on battlefield spectacle. It takes time to invest in themes of brotherhood, duty, and sacrifice. The moments of camaraderie among soldiers, the quiet exchanges before combat, and the emotional toll on families back home lend the film surprising warmth. These softer beats prevent Border 2 from becoming a hollow action extravaganza and instead ground it in genuine human stakes. That said, the film's action design is still one of its strongest assets. From thunderous tank warfare and brutal hand-to-hand combat to sweeping aerial dogfights and naval encounters, the battle sequences are staged with impressive technical finesse. The editing remains largely sharp, ensuring the action feels intense without descending into visual chaos. The aerial combat sequences featuring Diljit Dosanjh stand out as some of the film's most visually exhilarating moments, reaffirming Bollywood's growing ability to mount large-scale war spectacles. The dialogues are unapologetically loud, provocative, and clearly designed for mass appeal. Lines such as "Tumak Marojda has Rayanj" are tailor-made for whistle-worthy reactions. While the dialogue occasionally borders on excess and subtlety is rarely its goal, it aligns perfectly with the film's old-school patriotic tone and high-voltage energy. Sunny Deol emerges as the film's undisputed powerhouse. His screen presence remains formidable, and his thunderous delivery evokes nostalgia for fans of the original Border. Even at this stage of his career, his intensity feels almost unreal, with many of the film's most electrifying moments belonging entirely to him. Varun Dhawan delivers a restrained and sincere performance, displaying noticeable maturity and emotional control. Diljit Dosanjh brings charm and conviction, particularly during the air combat sequences, while Ahan Shetty leaves a strong impression, especially in a moment that pays homage to his father Sunil Shetty, guaranteed to give fans goosebumps. The female characters played by Mona Singh, Medha Rana, Sonam Bajwa, and Anya Singh are written with more sensitivity than typically seen in war films. Though their screen time is limited, they contribute meaningfully to the emotional fabric of the narrative. The supporting cast performs reliably, with special mention to Paramveer Chima, while a few well-placed cameo appearances add surprise value. Musically, Border 2 strikes the right emotional notes. Garkaboj feels poised to become a lasting patriotic anthem, evoking nostalgia every time it plays. The background score effectively amplifies both action and sentiment. However, the film is not without its flaws. The runtime, particularly during the extended battle sequences in the second half, often feels stretched, and several emotional moments come across as familiar and predictable. In an era where war films like Fighter, War and others rely heavily on advanced CGI, Border 2 feels visually underwhelming in comparison. With effects that lack impact and a color palette during combat scenes that is harsh and unappealing to the eye, this war drama also leans heavily into overt nationalism. While this works for its core audience, it leaves little room for nuance or moral complexity. In the end, Border 2 is a solid, emotionally resonant, and technically accomplished war film that honors its legacy without being shackled by it. It may not redefine the genre, but it confidently reinforces the enduring power of big-screen patriotic cinema. Watch it for Sunny Deol's roaring presence, its rousing spirit, and the emotion it wears proudly on its sleeve. Border 2 Box Office Collections Day 5. Sunny Deol star sees huge drop in numbers on Tuesday, earns just Rs 19.5 crore. 2 Border 2 movie review highlights. Sunny Deol returns to the battlefield in the sequel to J.P. Dutta's iconic 1997 blockbuster Border A since the first big Bollywood release of 2026. Border 2 brings back Sunny Deol, along with a new generation of stars in Varun Dhawan, Diljit Dosanjh, and Ahan Shetty. Read more. Follow all the updates here. Casting director Mukesh Chabra tweeted, "It was emotionally and creatively challenging for us at Mukesh Chabra Casting Company to work on Border 2. The film holds so many memories for all of USA. We grew up deeply connected to Border. Being a part of Border 2 came with huge expectations and a great sense of responsibility. Yes, it was a challenge but a beautiful one. We're grateful that we could pull it off together, and we're truly happy to see how much you're loving the casting and the film. We're reading all the reviews, and they mean a lot to us. Thank you very much for all the love and support." The Height review for Border 2 reads, Border 2 is not content with being just another sequel. It wants to make you sit up and salute. While its excesses are hard to ignore, so is its sincerity. The film reaches back into a time when patriotism in cinema was worn unapologetically, when heroes spoke loudly and emotions rang true. Even as some viewers call Border 2 too loud, many viewers have defended the film. One tweeted, "Border 2 doesn't rely on over-the-top patriotism. Sunny Deol's character shows pride through duty and restraint. That subtle approach makes the emotion feel more real and respectful." Border 2 is performing as projected at the box office, and is expected to close the day at around a superscript 135 crore net domestic collections on its opening day. This will help it beat recent blockbusters like Kava, Dhurandhar, and Sayara. Border 3 has picked up pace in the afternoon as positive word of mouth is spreading for the film. SAG-NILC reported that the film has earned a superscript 18.43 crore net in India by 3 p.m. Sunny Deol has earned loads of praise for being the linchpin of Border 2. One tweet read, "Border 2 reminded me that Sunny Deol's star power is not about being trendy. It's about being believable when it matters most." Border 2 is continuing to perform well at the box office on its opening day, holding well after strong morning shows, and growing in pace with the collections. According to SAG-NILC, the film has earned a superscript 17.24 crore net in India by 2 p.m. Just like Dhurandhar, Border 2 will also not be releasing in the Middle East, due to the perceived anti-Pakistan content in the film. Many of the online reactions to Border 2 are partial to Diljit Dosanjh's performance, praising the actor for his screen presence. One tweet read, "Diljit Dosanjh stole the show." Some negative reactions to the film are centered on the casting choices, particularly those of Varun Dhawan and Ahan Shetty. One viewer wrote on Twitter, "Except Sunny Deol, all other casting looks disgrace to movie industry. We cannot see the emotionless faces of Varun Dhawan and Sunil Shetty's son. Pathetic choice." A BTS video from the filming of Border 2 has now surfaced. It shows Sunny Deol, dressed in army uniform, engaging in playful banter on the sets and bonding with crew members over Cole Batcher. After a strong showing in the morning shows, Border 2 has continued to grow strong in the afternoon. SAG-NILC reported that its domestic net haul had reached a superscript 15.56 crore by 1 p.m. on its opening day, signifying a strong start. Not all reactions to the film are positive. One scathing Twitter review read, "Border 2 is quite a cringeworthy movie and falls into the same bracket as Gadar 2, poor VFX, below-average music, and unnecessarily emotional scenes. Sunny Deol's illogical shouting and screaming make it unbearable. You never feel connected to the story." Diljit and Dutta and Shetty delivered great performances. According to Sunny Deol, Border 2 has taken a strong start at the box office on its opening day, earning a superscript 13.79 crore net in India by noon. As Border 2 released, Sunil Shetty, star of The Odd Border, penned a long note of appreciation and advice for his son Ahan, who stars in the sequel. "This film isn't about glory, this film isn't about war, it's a reminder of why peace exists. A border isn't where the country ends, it's where courage begins," he wrote. According to Sunny Deol, Border 2 performed well across India, registering occupancy of 19.46% for its morning shows. This is a healthy sign, given that the footfalls are bound to increase following a positive word of mouth. The trailer of Dhurandhar 2 had been speculated to be attached with Border 2 in theaters. However, viewers who caught the early shows shared that the trailer wasn't screened. Director Aditya Dar responded to a fan on Instagram saying it will be out in a few days. The film star, Sunny Deol, shared a post on release day with clips from the film and a line in the caption. According to reports, on Thursday, the Madras High Court issued an order to block websites which exhibit the Sunny Deol star without authorization. The order was in a case filed by Supercassettes Industries Private Limited, T-Series, to prevent piracy. Varun Dhawan, who was trolled a lot for his facial expressions after the film's trailer dropped, seems to have redeemed himself with his performance in the film. Border 2's trailer and teaser are nowhere near as good as Varun Dhawan's performance in the film. "His acting is excellent. The emotions are superb," tweeted one viewer. Viewers shared that the credits for Border 2 feature Sunny Deol's name as a Dharmendraji Ka Beta, Dharmendra's son. The veteran actor passed away in November, and Border 2 is Sunny's first release since his father's death. Fans said the revelation was an emotional moment. Sunil Shetty offered prayers at Sri Mahakaleshwar Temple in Madhya Pradesh's Ujjain on Wednesday ahead of the film's release. He prayed for the well-being of his family members and for the success of Border 2, featuring son Ahan Shetty. "Today, I offered prayers at Mahakal Temple and prayed for the well-being of the family." Along with this, a Border 2 film is going to be released which is based on soldiers, so I wished for the success of the film. "My son also acted in the film, so I sought the blessings of Lord Mahakal for its success," the actor told reporters. Anu Malik's iconic songs from Border have been recreated in the sequel. Speaking to Anu, the composer said, "The song is being recreated today, and it will be done tomorrow as well. Border is incomplete without Sunny Deol and Sandy Sadhai, the people who have recreated the song. I would like to congratulate and wish them all the best. The recreated version should receive the same amount of love from the people. I want to wish Nai Dutta and JP Sir all the best, and also the music composer and the lyricists, who are recreating it. I want people to embrace it wholeheartedly." 3. Sunny Deol's high-octane war drama, Border 2 released worldwide and is receiving all the love it deserves. Let us look at the early reviews of the film. Follow us on Google News, Flipboard, Facebook, WhatsApp channel. The much-awaited war drama, Border 2, is released on January 23, 2026 and is getting a lot of love. Ever since the film's teaser was released, it became a talking point among the masses, and people eagerly awaited its release. A sequel to the 1997 film Border, Border 2 will be a nostalgic wave for the masses. Border 2 plot and real-life inspirations. Directed by Anurag Singh, Border 2 features a stellar cast which includes Sunny Deol, Varun Dhawan, Diljit Dosanjh, Ahan Shetty, Sonam Bajwa, Mona Singh and more. According to multiple reports, the film draws on various operations that took place during the Indo-Pak War and extends beyond the Longewala battle. In contrast to the fictional combinations found in other stories, Border 2 relies very heavily on real-life heroes. Sunny Deol reportedly plays Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, commanding officer of the Sikh regiment. He's the only actor reprising a part from the 1997 movie. On the other hand, Varun Dhawan plays the role of Major Hashir Singh Dahaya, a Param-Vir Chakra winner. Diljit Dosanjh portrays the character of Flying Officer Nirmaljit Singh Sekhan, the sole Param-Vir Chakra receiver of the Indian Air Force, and Ahan Shetty plays the role of Lieutenant Commander M.S. Rawat at Naval Front, attached to missions with INS Kukri. Border 2 early reviews the war drama. Border 2 will surely invoke the patriot in you. As portrayed analyst Trinadarsh, Border 2 touches the emotions of every Indian as it honors valor, sacrifice, and brotherhood, giving a rating of 4.5 stars. Trin mentioned that Sunny Deol is the soul of the film. In his words, Sunny Deol is the film's beating heart, a broken bar when he roars. The theater is sure to erupt, especially when he delivers the power-packed line as a broken bar. This is vintage Sunny Deol, commanding, righteous, and unforgettable. And an important fact, the film opens with Sunny Deol. He's there from the very first sequence right till the end, a broken bar. In fact, he has the meatiest part in Border 2. Trin further mentioned the other cast and revealed that Varun Dhawan is the surprise element of the film, bringing vulnerability to his character. Diljit Dosanjh was praised for his comic timing and emotionally charged screenplay. He also mentioned Ahan Shetty's confident screen presence and confidence to stand tall with seasoned actors. Border 2's reviews on X, formerly Twitter, netizens expressed their love and appreciation for the film. Many hailed Sunny Deol's power-packed dialogues, while others hailed the director's vision. One of the users wrote, "The high-octane version Border 2 review, a cinematic triumph, pure adrenaline, raw emotion. It is a masterclass in patriotic filmmaking, honors the courage of our soldiers with every frame. Sunny returns with unmatched intensity. Border 2 Sunny Deol. Have you seen Border 2? Also read, Harry Styles drops Aperture from much anticipated upcoming album. What's the song all about?" 4. Finally, Sunny Deol has arrived on screen along with Varun Dhawan, Ahan Shetty, and Diljit Dosanjh. The first few minutes start at an army camp, but the story quickly shifts back in time to focus on how a Fauji is trained. The three men are winning in their training modes. The mood is lighter since the uniform is heavy. The first 50 minutes of the film are impressive, and Anurag Singh makes sure that Sunny Paji and his Daikilo Kahath terrify the enemy. While he enters the frame in a full-fledged high-octane scene, he holds the story well with short monologues. We fight for our brothers, we live as brothers, and we bloody die as brothers. This is what he explains to his men, and he lays his trust on these young men to protect the nation. Border 2 is sailing the right way so far, and I am very much looking forward to the moment when these young, promising men, trained to protect or die, enter the battlefield. Here are the 3 thoughts I have while watching the first 50 minutes of the film. Fauji in fun mode. The initial banter between the 3 leads is cute. Nothing seems off in the place. The innocence has been kept intact. Considering the timeline of the film is from the 60s and early 70s, this innocence works. The personal connections. Anurag Singh is taking his sweet time to establish the backstories of the 3 war heroes. This might be a masterstroke because when they enter the battlefield, you will know them personally, and their fights will have a greater impact, because then they would not just be soldiers of the country. By then, they will be soldiers, you know. Sunny Deol surprises me. After a long time, I see Sunny Deol in fun mode. I see him as a family man, and I see him doing pranks. Yes, Paji pulling off a prank in a war epic was something I never expected, but Border 2 has pulled this off as well. I am already dreading what is coming because these 4 men have already connected with me, and I am rooting for their lives. Whatever war holds for them is terrifying me already. P.S. Dear Diljit Dosanjh, why so good? For a full movie review of Border 2, stay tuned to Koimoy. Must read, Border 2 Trailer 2 Review. FT, Sunny Deol, Diljit Dosanjh, Varun Dhawan and Ahan Shetty Womidik Betjo wa Apas na Lotte emotional speechless. 5 Border 2 Movie Review. Border 2 brings back the spirit of patriotism and sacrifice, taking viewers once again to one of the most crucial chapters in Indian history. Set during the 1971 India-Pakistan War, the film unfolds along the borders of India and East Pakistan, focusing on the bravery, emotions, and unity of the Indian Armed Forces. Directed on a large scale, Border 2 aims to honor soldiers from the Army, Air Force, and Navy, while also showing the personal cost of war on their families. Let's take a look at the full review below. Border 2 plot review. The story opens with rising tension along the India-Pakistan border. A warlike situation is building, and the country's defense forces are preparing for an inevitable battle. At the center of the narrative are four key officers who represent different wings of the armed forces. Sunny Deol plays Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, a senior and experienced officer stationed in the Munawar-Tali region of Jammu. He is also the former trainer of three younger officers who share a deep bond. Varun Dhawan appears as Major Hoshiar Singh Dahaya of the Indian Army, while Diljit Dosanjh essays the role of Flying Officer Nirmaljit Singh Sekund from the Indian Air Force. Ahan Shetty is seen as Lieutenant Commander Mahendra S. Rawat of the Indian Navy. The trio became close friends during their training days at the National War Academy in 1961, and their friendship remains strong even a decade later. An important turning point comes during Sekund's wedding in a village in Punjab. Just as celebrations are underway, the officers receive urgent orders to report back to duty as the situation at the border worsens. From that moment, the film shifts gears, following each officer as they head to their respective postings. Hoshiar takes charge in the Jammu sector, Sekund returns to his base in Srinagar, and Rawat is deployed aboard a warship near the Gujarat coast. At the same time, Fateh Singh Kalar prepares to defend the border with limited forces, as most troops have been moved to East Pakistan. The first half of Border 2 mainly focuses on character development and emotional depth. It introduces the personal lives of the officers and highlights the strength of their families. Mona Singh plays Simi, Fateh Singh Kalar's wife, who struggles emotionally when their son chooses to join the army. Mehta Rana is seen as Dano, Hoshiar's supportive wife, while Anya Singh plays Rawat's partner. These relationships add warmth and realism, showing how families silently endure fear and uncertainty during wartime. The emotional connection is one of the film's biggest strengths. The bond between the officers, their sense of duty, and the sacrifices made by their loved ones are portrayed with sincerity. The interval arrives at a powerful moment, building excitement for what lies ahead. The second half dives deeper into the war, bringing action, tension, and strong emotional beats. While the pace slows in a few places, the impact remains strong, largely due to nostalgia and patriotic sentiment. The music also plays a key role. Iconic songs like Gar Kabauj and Tachalun bring back memories of the original Border and enhance the emotional experience. Mitik Bet is also a strong addition to the franchise. Border 2 performance review. Performance-wise, Sunny Deol once again fits naturally into a patriotic role, delivering intensity and authority. After Deol, Diljit Dosanjh stands out with his emotional portrayal and natural screen presence, while Ahan Shetty leaves a sincere impression. Varun Dhawan brings energy to his role, though his Haryanvi accent feels inconsistent in several scenes. Border 2 overall verdict. Overall, Border 2 is a heartfelt war drama that works because of its emotions, strong performances, and nostalgic music. Despite feeling slightly stretched at times, the film succeeds in paying tribute to the courage of Indian soldiers and the families who stand behind them. A good watch. 6. Border 2 box office collection. Day 3, marking a promising start for 2026, something it couldn't achieve last time. Bollywood has kicked off the year with a box office banger. Director Anurag Singh's epic war actioner Border 2, which has already entered the Rs 100 crore club in India in just 3 days and has now stormed past Rs 150 crore mark globally. Interestingly, the movie is faring better than Aditya Dar's Ranveer Singh's starred Dhurandhar, hinting that Border 2 has the potential to emerge as an even bigger blockbuster as it looks to improve its earnings on Republic Day today. On Sunday, the war actioner recorded an Indian net collection of Rs 57.20 crore, marking a significant increase in its revenue compared to Saturday, Rs 40.59 crore, as shared by trade analyst Trinadarsh. With this, the movie's total domestic collection has reached Rs 129.89 crore. The film has earned Rs 16 crore worldwide, bringing its worldwide gross to Rs 158.5 crore, featuring Sunny Deol, Varun Dhawan, Diljit Dosanjh, and Ahan Shetty in key roles. The Anurag Singh directorial is a sequel to legendary filmmaker J.P. Dutta's 1997 all-time blockbuster, headlined by Sunny himself. While Border 2 opened to Rs 32.10 crore, higher than Dhurandhar's Rs 28 crore, it significantly improved its performance on day 2, registering an Indian net collection of Rs 36.5 crore, while the Ranveer Singh star's earnings stood at Rs 32 crore. Now, the Sunny Deol-led epic war actioner has outperformed Dhurandhar for the third day in a row, earning Rs 54.5 crore against the latter's Rs 43 crore on their first Sunday in theaters. ISMI, the 50 confirmed contestants full list: Rai Dogra, Karan Patel, Ravashi Dolakia, Mr. Faizu and others join reality show during the day. Border 2 witnessed an overall occupancy of 59.14% in the Hindi market, while the morning shows commenced with 31.46% occupancy. The rate improved drastically as the day unfolded, reaching 68.93% in the afternoon, 77.03% in the evening, and peaking at 67.5% during night screenings. Border 2's strong and steady run has come as a relief for Sunny Deol, as his last outing, Jat, underperformed at the box office, grossing just Rs 118.36 crore worldwide during its theatrical run. At the current rate, Border 2 is poised to surpass Jat on day 4 itself. Meanwhile, the movie has offered an even bigger respite for Varun Dhawan, whose career had been on a steady decline for the past few years, with back-to-back box office bombs and not a single success since Bidya, which too wasn't a massive hit. Click here to follow Screen Digital on YouTube and stay updated with the latest from the world of cinema. 7. Sunny Deol's latest war drama, Border 2, continues its impressive box office performance since its theatrical release on January 23. Within just 9 days, the film has crossed the Rs 250 crore mark, confirming its rapid ascent among 2026's top-grossing films. The movie has managed to sustain audience interest and ticket sales, even as new competitors enter the market. The strong numbers for Border 2 highlight its widespread appeal. The film has accumulated an estimated Rs 224.25 crore during its initial week, and as per early estimates, it minted Rs 28.5 crore in its second week, bringing its total net box office collection to about Rs 252.75 crore. This robust performance places the film among the fastest to reach the Rs 250 crore milestone in recent times. The film's momentum continued into its second weekend, with box office tracking portal SACNILC noting a significant growth on the second Saturday. Early estimates suggest that Border 2 earned Rs 17.75 crore on that day, following a dip to Rs 10.75 crore on Friday, demonstrating the movie's ability to rebound at the ticket windows. The release of Rani Mukherjee's Mardani 3 introduced fresh competition for Border 2. Make India Today my trusted source. Despite the competition, Border 2 maintained its leading position, thanks to its strong fan base and word-of-mouth endorsements. The film's swift climb to the Rs 250 crore club is notable, although it did not surpass the speed record set by Vicky Kaushal's Kalva and Ranveer Singh's 2025 hit Dhurandhar, both of which reached Rs 250 crore in 9 days. The war drama is presented by Gulshan Kumar and T-Series, in association with J.P. Dutta's J.P. Films. The movie is backed by Bhushan Kumar, Krishan Kumar, J.P. Dutta, Nai Dutta and directed by Anurag Singh. Test confident you've paid attention while reading this story? Answer these questions to check your attention quotient. Which milestone did Border 2 achieve in 9 days? 8. Sunny Deol's much-awaited multi-star war movie, Border 2, has won over the hearts of viewers who praised it as a brilliant movie. In early Twitter reviews, the viewers said that the movie has a heart-touching story of patriotism and courage and is a perfect blend of emotions, action and patriotism. Border 2 is pure emotion. Social media users suggested that everyone watch the movie and lauded the performances of all the heroes. What a movie! What a brilliant movie! I have just finished up Border 2 and all I can say Sunny Bajwa is back. I would like to give 5 out of 5 stars. Border 1 was close to my heart and I was expecting same from Border 2 and trust me, it won't disappoint you, a user said. Another added, Border 2 delivers everything you expect, be it action, emotion, patriotism, and multiple goosebumps-worthy moments, especially the interval and climax, which will genuinely shock you. When it comes to performances, Sunny Deol is the soul of the film, what he brings to the screen. Border 2 is a world-class war action entertainer. Film gives a phenomenal tribute to Indian Army unwavering valor sacrifices. Script is power-packed which is high on patriotism, substance emotions. Superstar Sunny Deol performance is brilliant, said another user. A perfect big screen experience for the masses. Delivers exactly what it promises: patriotism, a sense emotion, a sense action, a sense goosebumps. Border 2 keeps the legacy alive with powerful dialogues, whistle-worthy moments. A netizen said, Sunny Deol is pure fire, a screen presence, intensity, nostalgia hitting hard. Varundan is the surprise package. And Diljit Dosanjh did well, the netizen noted. War sequences are gripping. Emotions land perfectly. The yen mass, a sense patriotic, a sense big screen experience. Blockbuster vibes all over. Also read, I might get lost amid the big stars. Border 2 actor Paramvrachima on fears of being typecast. Film critic calls Border 2 a outstanding. Film critic Trinadarsh gave Sunny Deol's Border 2 a 4.5 rating and strongly recommended the outstanding movie. Power, patriotism, pride. Border 2 makes your heart swell with pride. The film salutes the nation as well as the armed forces, he said. Trin said that at its core, Border 2 is about valor, sacrifice and brotherhood, told with conviction and cinematic flair. Anurag balances spectacle with sentiment, while staying true to the spirit of the 1971 war. He also highlighted the realism of the action and lauded the sharp, hard-hitting, and patriotic dialogues without jingoism. Written for big screen impact, several punchlines are destined to become crowd favorites, triggering applause and whistles across single screens and multiplexes alike, he said. About Border 2. Border 2, written and directed by Anurag Singh, is set against the backdrop of the 1971 India-Pakistan War. The movie expands to combine the operations of the Indian Armed Forces, Army, Air Force, and Navy. Inspired by the true events of the 1971 India-Pakistan War, the makers said. While Sunny Deol returns in the uniform, this time the film introduces new faces, starring Varundan, Diljit Dosanjh, and Ahan Shetty. Mona Singh, Sonam Bajwa, Anya Singh, and Meta Rana are also a part of the film. It is backed by Bhushan Kumar, Krishan Kumar, J.P. Dutta, and Nai Dutta under the banners of T-Series Films and JP Films. 9 Border 2X Review. Sunny Deol, Varundan, Diljit Dosanjh and Ahan Shetty star has arrived in the theaters. The social media pages are filled with reviews posted by movie buffs who watched the early shows. Trade analysts Trinadarsh and Sumit Kadal have also shared their reviews, calling the film outstanding and praising Sunny, Varun, Diljit and Ahan's performances. Border 2 receives positive reviews from netizens. X, formerly Twitter, is flooded with Border 2 reviews, with everyone praising the film and thanking it for evoking a sense of patriotism in the youths. Trinadarsh gave 4.5 stars out of 5 stars and wrote, Power, patriotism, pride. Border 2 makes your heart swell with pride. The film salutes the nation as well as the armed forces. Strongly recommended. Border 2 review. He lauded director Anurag Singh, the dialogues, calling it a major high point, and the music of the movie. Coming to actors, he called Varun's performance a big surprise. Even Ahan Shetty found his name mentioned in the post. Varundan brings a big surprise. He brings intensity, vulnerability, and fire to his role, proving once again that he thrives when backed by strong writing and a well-edged character. Diljit Dosanjh is in terrific form, a sheer delight to watch in every sequence. His comic timing and lighter moments are a huge plus. Ahan Shetty continues his upward journey with the confident, sincere turn, holding his own alongside seasoned performers. He wrote, another ex-user praised Sunny and wrote, Nobody in Indian cinema can mouth dialogues better than Sunny Deol when it comes to peak male testosterone. Unimaginable, the user added. Border 2 is a nothing but a magnum opus of epic proportion, having every element needed in a sequel of such cult film. It has got proper doses of emotions, action, drama and above all peak male performances. He urged people to go watch the movie as it is a perfect treat ahead of Republic Day. A user lauded the makers and said, "This is how you make a true blockbuster war film." Border, 1997. Legacy well kept. Border 2 is a complete C-teamer watch on every front, be it war, action, emotions or patriotism. He further praised Varun, Diljit and Dosanjh for their performance as war heroes. Anurag Singh creates a massive bonanza for Hindi audiences and single screens will just go berserk. It's a power-packed entertainer and adds many elements of its own, the user concluded. Take a look at more such positive movie reviews below. Border 2 box office collection. Day 1. The film is likely to earn in double digits on the opening day. The film was able to sell over 4 lakh tickets, earning a superscript 112.5 crore in the pre-sales. Maximum collection has come from Delhi, a superscript 13.62 crore. The movie will benefit from the extended weekend owing to the Republic Day holiday. No other significant release from the Hindi industry that week will also aid the business of war dramas. The only competition of the movie would be Ranveer Singh headlinered Dhurandhar, which is almost in its second month of theatrical run. Border 2 will also benefit from the nostalgia factor, as it is a sequel to J.P. Dutta's cult classic. The trailer and teaser of the movie received a roaring reception. Get current updates on India news, entertainment news, cricket news along with latest news and web stories from India and around the world. 10 Border 2 Review. The original Border, which was released in 1997, holds immense significance in Indian cinema. Directed by J.P. Dutta, Border wasn't just a war film, but an emotional narrative that put focus on the 1971 Indo-Pak War and turned it into mainstream popular culture. Almost 3 decades later, Border 2 has arrived. Even as India's political and cinematic environment has changed, its importance remains massive. Its significance not only lies in nostalgia but also in how the interpretation of patriotism and war has evolved. If Border is still remembered for the honesty with which it told the story of the 1971 war, then Border 2 wins hearts because you don't just watch soldiers fighting, but you feel what they are fighting for. Sunny Deol back with iconic roar. Sunny Deol won hearts with his impeccable performance in Border. In Border 2, his iconic roar can't be ignored. His aggression and volume feel real. Sunny, as Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, is a true leader and mentor for his regiment. No complicated storytelling. The film doesn't get lost in complex storytelling or subplots that are just not required. It is fully aware of what it wants to say. This isn't just the story of a war, but also about soldiers, their families, their courage, their fear. The film doesn't rely on overthinking or unnecessary gimmicks. Director Anurag Singh keeps the narrative clean and focused. Yes, emotions flow naturally rather than being forced. First half high on action, emotion and humor. The film is an interesting mix of humor, emotion and action. You will be impressed with the perfection with which Indian officers take on their enemies. Diljit Dosanjh, Varun Dhawan and Dosanjh play their parts with perfection. Their chemistry appears real, and their bonhomie will leave you in splits, only to prepare you for what the second half has to offer. Definitely a must-watch. 11 Border 2 Review, 4.55. Review rating. Star cast: Sunny Deol, Varun Dhawan, Diljit Dosanjh, Dosanjh. Director Anurag Singh. Border 2 Movie Review Synopsis. Border 2 is the story of brave Indian armed forces. The year is 1971. A warlike situation has arisen between India and Pakistan. Flying officer Nirmaljit Singh Khan, Diljit Dosanjh, of the Indian Air Force is getting married to Manjit, Sonam Bajwa, in his village in Punjab. His marriage is attended by his close friends, Major Hashir Singh Dahia, Varun Dhawan, of the Indian Army and Lieutenant Commander Mahendra S. Rawat, Dosanjh, of the Indian Navy. The trio met in 1961 at the National War Academy and have been thick friends since then. During the marriage, The trio is informed that the matter has become serious at the border and that they need to report to duty immediately. Major Hashir Singh Dahaya takes charge of his contingent in the Jammu sector. Nirmaljit Singh Second, Diljit Dosanjh, returns to his base in Srinagar while Mahendra S. Rawat boards a warship off the coast of Gujarat. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, Sunny Deol, who was the trio's trainer in the National War Academy, is holding up in the Munawar Tali region in Jammu. The challenges are immense in front of them. Much of the forces have been transported to East Pakistan. Hence, the western border is being defended by a smaller number of armed forces. Meanwhile, the Pakistani army is all set to cross the border at Rajasthan, Punjab and Jammu and Kashmir and create havoc. What happens next forms the rest of the film. Border 2 Movie Story Review. Nai Dutta's story is cinematic and informative. It informs viewers about brave episodes from the pages of the 1971 war that many might not know about. Sumit Arora and Anurag Singh's screenplay is entertaining and, most importantly, easy to comprehend. The film is peppered not just with clap-worthy moments but also scores on the emotional front. Sumit Arora and Anurag Singh's dialogues are conversational, dramatic and also clap-worthy in several scenes. Anurag Singh's direction is exceptional. Borders, 1997. Biggest strength was that it appealed to a wide section of the moviegoers through its simple and hard-hitting storytelling. This is not an easy feat to achieve in today's times. The biggest of directors have failed at this endeavor, but Anurag comes out with flying colors. The war portions don't confuse viewers. Instead, these scenes engage them thoroughly. Anurag also knows that the audience will expect some mass-appealing moments at regular intervals, and even in this regard, he doesn't fail. There are several such scenes in the film, but two sequences stand out. Firstly, the intermission point is fiery. Lastly, watch out for the last 15 minutes, it's sure to create a frenzy. At the same time, Border 2 also scores in the emotional scenes. There's also humor, particularly in the National War Academy scenes, and it'll surely be lamped up. The romantic scenes are also sweet. On the flip side, the visual effects in the scenes of Mahendra S. Rawat leave a lot to be desired. The length of the film is another issue, albeit a minor one, though the 199-minute-long film doesn't bore even for a moment. There are places where the interest level tends to dip to some extent. This happens in the first half. At the end of the romantic track, the audience might get restless and would expect the focus to be back on the border. Even in the second half, when the war begins in full force, a few moments don't really engage viewers. Fortunately, these are just minor hiccups in an otherwise gripping ride, and the film ultimately delivers exactly what it promises. Border 2 Movie Review Performances. Sunny Deol is in top form. He touches hearts in the emotional scenes while in the war scenes, he rocks the show. A few mass moments will remind one of his act in Gadar, 2001, and other films of the yesteryears. That's the impact he's set to create among the masses. It's important to note that, contrary to rumors, he's there from start to finish. Varun Dhawan is sure to win hearts with his performance and the valor of his character. The actor gets into the skin of his character and delivers a performance like never before. Diljit Dosanjh is lovable as always and plays his part with earnestness. Ahan Shetty, too, puts his best foot forward and proves that he's a worthy performer as well, if given the chance. However, he does get overpowered due to the presence of other stalwarts. From the female cast, Mona Singh, Simi, leaves the maximum mark. Newcomer Meta Rana, Danvandi, comes next. Sonam Bajwa is lovely in a small role. Anya Singh, Sudha, lends able support. From the supporting cast, Paramveer Chima, Nishan Singh, and Vansh Bhardwaj, Santram, make their presence felt, especially in the scene where they get letters from their respective families. Bhushan Vikas, Baniram Rao, and Azad Chauhan, Balam Singh, do well. As for the antagonists, Waqar Sheikh, Khalid, Ali Mughal, Akram Khan, and Imran Farooq, Rashid, stand out. The other two actors who deserve a mention are Ashika Gaganja, Sukhminder Nirmaljit's sister, and Need Sandhu, Angad Fateh's son. Border 2 Movie Music and other technical aspects. The music is a highlight. Garkaboj obviously takes the cake and is very well placed. Jadhu Lamon and Hindustan Marayan come next. Tara Rumpumpum is foot-tapping and will put a smile on the viewers' faces. Midik Bet and Border are touching. Jon Stewart Eder's background score enhances the impact. Labyrinth Cinematic Solutions Private Limited, Noob Cirrus and redefines VFX as overall satisfactory but could have been better in the warship scenes. Dr. Ravi Varma, Nick Powell, Parvez Sheikh and Alan Amin's action adds to the entertainment quotient. Sheetal Sharma's costumes and Mayur Sharma's production design are realistic and aesthetic. Manish Moore's editing is appropriate, though a few scenes could have been shorter. Border 2 movie review conclusion. On the whole, Border 2 delivers a stirring, big-screen war spectacle that lives up to the legacy of the 1997 classic. It strikes the right balance between heart and heroism, and when it goes full throttle, it's electrifying, especially the climax stretch that's set to create peak mass hysteria. At the box office, the film is all set for a strong opening, and the extended 4-day weekend will give it the perfect launchpad to emerge as the year's first bona fide blockbuster. 12 About the movie. Watch it for Sunny Deol's roaring presence, its rousing spirit, and the emotion it wears proudly on its sleeve. Cast. Border 2 movie review. Sunny Deol roars while Diljit Dosanjh shines in a war drama that doesn't redefine the genre. The overall critics' rating is not an average of the subscores above. Story. Border 2 continues the legacy of the 1971 Indo-Pak War, portraying fierce battles beyond Lonjwala, including the Battle of Basant and Operation Chengiz Khan, highlighting courage, sacrifice, and strategic warfare. Review. Border 2 arrives carrying the towering legacy of J.P. Dutta's 1997 classic Border, a film that defined patriotic war cinema for an entire generation. With such a formidable predecessor, expectations are naturally sky-high. Director Anurag Singh steps into this daunting space with confidence, crafting a sequel that clearly understands the emotional soul of the original while upgrading its scale, spectacle, and storytelling for contemporary audiences. While Border 2 may not recreate the once-in-a-generation impact of its predecessor, it succeeds as an emotionally charged and crowd-pleasing war epic that largely delivers on its promise. Set against the backdrop of the 1971 Indo-Pak War, the film ambitiously unfolds across 3 fronts: land, air, and sea. This multi-layered narrative structure gives Border 2 a broader cinematic canvas and a strong sense of national scale. Hoshiyar Singh, Varun Dhawan, represents the Indian Army on the ground. Nirmaljit Singh, Diljit Dosanjh, commands the skies as a fearless Indian Air Force pilot, while Mahendra Rawat, Ahan Shetty, leads naval operations in the Arabian Sea. Binding these 3 men as their mentor, Fateh Singh, Sunny Deol, now a legendary officer commanding troops at the border. As coordinated enemy attacks threaten the nation from all directions, the story steadily builds toward an urgent call for leadership, courage, and sacrifice. Where Border 2 truly succeeds is in capturing its emotional undercurrents, even though its action sequences do not always match the gritty believability of the original. Thankfully, the film does not rely solely on battlefield spectacle. It takes time to invest in themes of brotherhood, duty, and sacrifice. The moments of camaraderie among soldiers, the quiet exchanges before combat, and the emotional toll on families back home lend the film surprising warmth. These softer beats prevent Border 2 from becoming a hollow action extravaganza and instead ground it in genuine human stakes. That said, the film's action design is still one of its strongest assets. From thunderous tank warfare and brutal hand-to-hand combat to sweeping aerial dogfights and naval encounters, the battle sequences are staged with impressive technical finesse. The editing remains largely sharp, ensuring the action feels intense without descending into visual chaos. The aerial combat sequences featuring Diljit Dosanjh stand out as some of the film's most visually exhilarating moments, reaffirming Bollywood's growing ability to mount large-scale war spectacles. The dialogues are unapologetically loud, provocative, and clearly designed for mass appeal. Lines such as "Tumek Marojda has and Jartel" are made for whistle-worthy reactions. While the dialogue occasionally borders on excess and subtlety is rarely its goal, it aligns perfectly with the film's old-school patriotic tone and high-voltage energy. Sunny Deol emerges as the film's undisputed powerhouse. His screen presence remains formidable, and his thunderous delivery evokes nostalgia for fans of the original Border. Even at this stage of his career, his intensity feels almost unreal, with many of the film's most electrifying moments belonging entirely to him. Varun Dhawan delivers a restrained and sincere performance, displaying noticeable maturity and emotional control. Diljit Dosanjh brings charm and conviction, particularly during the air combat sequences, while Ahan Shetty leaves a strong impression, especially in a moment that pays homage to his father Sunil Shetty, guaranteed to give fans goosebumps. The female characters played by Mona Singh, Meta Rana, Sonam Bajwa, and Anya Singh are written with more sensitivity than typically seen in war films. Though their screen time is limited, they contribute meaningfully to the emotional fabric of the narrative. The supporting cast performs reliably, with special mention to Paramveer Chima, while a few well-placed cameo appearances add surprise value. Musically, Border 2 strikes the right emotional notes. Garkabauj feels poised to become a lasting patriotic anthem, evoking nostalgia every time it plays. The background score effectively amplifies both action and sentiment. However, the film is not without its flaws. The runtime, particularly during the extended battle sequences in the second half, often feels stretched, and several emotional moments come across as familiar and predictable. In an era where war films like Fighter, War and others rely heavily on advanced CGI, Border 2 feels visually underwhelming in comparison. With effects that lack impact and a color palette during combat scenes that is harsh and unappealing to the eye, this war drama also leans heavily into overt nationalism. While this works for its core audience, it leaves little room for nuance or moral complexity. In the end, Border 2 is a solid, emotionally resonant, and technically accomplished war film that honors its legacy without being shackled by it. It may not redefine the genre, but it confidently reinforces the enduring power of big-screen patriotic cinema. Watch it for Sunny Deol's roaring presence, its rousing spirit, and the emotion it wears proudly on its sleeve. Border 2 Box Office Collections Day 5. Sunny Deol star sees huge drop in numbers on Tuesday, earns just Rs 19.5 crore. 13. The film Border created waves in the hearts of Indian audiences and at the box office in 1997. Now, its sequel has arrived, and the anticipation around it is understandably strong. Viewers are eager to see how effectively Border 2 taps into nostalgia, how closely it emulates the original, and whether it succeeds in creating its own identity. This review explores the film's central theme, narrative flow, and emotional impact, while examining how well it balances homage to the classic with a contemporary cinematic approach. Story: much before the Indo-Pak War of 1971, Lieutenant Col. Fateh Singh Kalar, Sunny Deol, trains officers and soldiers from the Army, Navy, and Air Force at the National War Academy. There, 3 officers who train under him and belong to different forces form a strong bond of friendship. They are Hashir Singh Dahaya, Varun Dhawan, from the Army, Nirmaljit Singh Sekhan, Diljit Dosanjh, from the Air Force, and M.S. Rawat, Ahan Shetty, from the Navy. Though they engage in playful rivalry during training, they eventually coordinate with one another during the 1971 Indo-Pak War. How they cooperate on the battlefield, lead their respective forces, and display courage and valor forms the core of the narrative. Artistes' performances. Sunny Deol reappears in this sequel as an actor, though not as a direct continuation of his character from Border, 1997. He delivers his best once again. His trademark war cries, powerful dialogue delivery, and action episodes evoke nostalgia, and he convincingly looks strong despite his real age. His screen presence adds significant value to the film. Varun Dhawan, who plays Major Hashir Singh, is competent but does not leave a lasting impact. Since the character represents a Paramveer Chakra awardee, the arc, performance, and conclusion could have been more inspiring and heroic. Although Varun attempts to embody the role, the writing and presentation prove to be a setback. Diljit Dosanjh impresses with a convincing performance. He looks natural in the Air Force uniform and handles the emotional drama effectively. Ahan Shetty strongly reminds one of his father, both in appearance and body language, especially while recreating scenes reminiscent of Border. Mona Singh, as Fateh Singh's wife, delivers a fine performance, particularly in the flashback sequence involving her son's death and the post-interval funeral scene. Diljit Dosanjh, who plays Nirmal's sister, looks graceful on screen. Sonam Bajwa, as Nirmal's wife, is also effective, with both actresses making an impact despite limited screen time. Anya Singh, as Hashir's wife, delivers an adequate performance. Technical excellence. Coming to technical excellence, the music is okay. The replication of older songs shows a lack of ability to create something outstanding on its own. Both Sandi Sadhai and Ojai Lamal are repeated with tweaked lyrics. While they are fine, they are built largely on the foundation of the original artists, with very little creative contribution. The new songs composed for this film are decent. The background score is just adequate and not particularly outstanding. Cinematography, VFX, and other technical aspects work well. However, the editing could have been sharper, as the personal stories portion felt unnecessarily long. Highlights: nostalgia created by the classic songs. Drawbacks: cliché / copyright D. Drama heavy on emotion, lacking intelligence. Dragged episodes. Lack of originality. Cringe-worthy and repetitive emotional moments. Analysis: the film Border was an emotion in 1997 because it was among the first large-scale war films made on Indian screens. Its multi-starrer appeal, the personal stories of each officer and the culmination of human relationships, patriotism and duty were received as pure emotional magic. However, repeating the same formula without sufficient creativity cannot recreate the same impact, and that is the fundamental problem with this film. By following the same pattern and template, the emotions feel outdated, forced and repetitive. Several moments lack originality and turn cringe-worthy rather than nostalgic. Ahan Shetty's character, who appears almost dead, suddenly opening his eyes and shouting "Ma Shakti" clearly imitates Sunil Shetty's iconic scene from Border, 1997. Similarly, the sequence where a tank points its barrel at Sunny Deol toward the climax is a direct repetition of the original. Another copied moment is the Pakistani soldier surrendering to Sunny Deol, revealing his superior's plans and pleading for mercy, which again mirrors the older film. In contrast, some scenes are genuinely touching. The moment where Hashir Singh's newlywed wife seeks blessings from her deceased father-in-law's uniform, and the emotional exchange between two soldiers where one mourns his mother while the other celebrates the birth of a daughter, reflect maturity in writing and emotional depth. What pains informed viewers the most is the treatment of Major Hashir Singh's character, a real-life Paramvir Chakra awardee who survived the war. His valor deserved a powerful on-screen celebration. Instead, in an attempt to elevate Sunny Deol's character, Hashir Singh, played by Varun Dhawan, is reduced and shown as if he were saved by another officer. Historical records clearly document his exceptional bravery, which earned him the PVC. At the very least, depicting the real character receiving the Paramvir Chakra in the climax could have elevated the film emotionally and served as a true tribute. Although the makers attempt to portray his heroic battle, excessive cinematic liberties dilute its impact toward the end. If the makers did not obtain permission from the families of the officers portrayed in the film to depict certain aspects of their lives, then the real character names should not have been used at all, and the story should have remained fictional. Using original names without offering the respectful and accurate tribute is inappropriate and ethically questionable. Another questionable choice in the climax is the sudden appearance of the souls of characters played by Akshay Khanna, Sunil Shetty, and others from Border, 1997. Their inclusion feels abrupt and confusing, blurring the line between cinematic universe and the narrative reality. Bottom line: outdated tags. Sunny Leone. Border 2 review. Border 2 movie review. Border 2 rating. Border 2 movie rating 14. If you're watching Border 2 in PVR cinemas in particular, your experience of the movie will begin even before you sit in the theaters. You'd be greeted by the spirit of patriotism with flags painted on the staff's face and them being clad in traditional clothing. Like most sequels, I expected the Sunny Deol starrer to also hide behind the previous film's shadow and its fame. Luckily, this film doesn't do that. While it isn't nearly as amazing as many would hope for it to be, It used the spirit and valor of the original movie and amplified it further. Border 2. Initial thoughts: there are some stories that drag it out, and then there are those that continue legacies. I immediately understood that Border 2 was going to be a movie about legacies when the casting overlay introduced Sunny Deol as Dharmendra's son. I still stand by not understanding why a sequel needed to be made. However, I don't mind that it was made. If anything, the sequel to J.P. Dutta's movie takes the energy that came with Border and makes it clear that he doesn't want to disrespect anything. This wasn't necessarily a sequel, but another story being told about the 1971 tensions between India and Pakistan under the same film's name. There were also many references to the previous film using iconic dialogues, much like the songs, but that got very old very quickly. Border 2. Direction and cinematography: the CGI was clearly not going to be impressive in Anurag Singh's film. The trailer made it very clear that it was only going to be disappointing. Certain scenes looked purposefully dimmed, but it was just bad CGI making it impossible to see. On the other hand, the T-Series and JP Films movie had ample visual storytelling. A dia was used to signify the faith of the soldiers and why it was so important that it stay lit up at all times. I personally loved how, in the heat of battle, it was kept lit through blood. From a letter to wavering faith in God, Border 2 doesn't treat its audience as stupid, and that is why I respect it more. Border 2 cast review puts the spotlight on everyone. Unlike the first movie, none of the characters in Border 2 feel like stock characters. They weren't there just to fit a role, they had depth and personalities beyond their love for the nation. Sunny Deol's character wasn't just screaming this time. He didn't just live and breathe for the nation, he had a life outside of serving the country, but that didn't mean he loved India any less. Varunda and proved every hater wrong. Going trending just a few days before his film's release, people would obviously be keeping an eye on him more. I have always been a fan of the actor, and no matter the role he plays, he always impresses. However, his Haryanvi accent slipped here and there. Diljit Dosanjh was also a sight to behold, with the spirit of the Air Force going strong with him. Unfortunately, Ahan Shetty got lost in the middle of Dosanjh and Dawan's acting until his very last scene. Meta Rana, Anurag Singh, Sonam Bajwa and Mona Singh also did well in their respective roles. Each played a wife who stood strongly by their soldier husbands, fighting their inner battles as the men fight a more physical war. Sound design is always a very important element of any movie. If the punches are strong but the music isn't, they will feel flat regardless. The songs themselves were okay, even if they were good, but the choreography simply did not sit well with the songs themselves. Border 2 review. Concluding thoughts: the movie demands that you stick until the very end lest you miss out on all the Easter eggs of the first film. When martyred soldiers are being announced on the radio, the names of all those who died in the first film are also included, confirming that both stories take place side by side. With the credits rolling, the screen shows everyone who died, and that included cameos of Akshay Khanna, Sunil Shetty and others. Was Border 2 everything people wanted to be? Is it still a good movie? Yes, it was unfortunately too dragged out, and the narrative structure felt too haphazard at times. Luckily, the final few sequences and the climax itself put it all together in the end. Border 2 rating, 2.55. Buried in the depths of entertainment, she is a storyteller at heart who isn't afraid to read between the lines. She has a flair for writing about anime and superheroes. If not writing, she would be gaming or scrolling through every new fact she can find about Greek mythology. Life is too short not to turn just one more page. As Dhurandhar continues to tell cinema-goers that Pakistan's deep state views Hindus as pushovers, Border 2 arrives to underscore that the 1971 war stemmed from the neighbors' belief that Indians are meek until confronted by Sunny Deol on the Western Front. A standalone sequel to J.P. Dutta's Border, 1997, the film weaponizes nostalgia into pride-pumping cinema. Director Anurag Singh honors the original's emotional patriotism and amplifies the scale for a generation raised on drone-led battles seen on television. Synopsis: it chronicles the heroic exploits of the Indian Armed Forces during the 1971 Indo-Pakistan War across multiple fronts. As Lieutenant Col. Fateh Singh Kalar guides and fights alongside brave young officers. Singh's screenplay, co-written with Sumit Arora, weaves together multi-front battle as Shakhargarh Bulge, Srinagar Air Defense, Arabian Sea Naval Upsa and the personal arcs of Paramvarshakra and Mahavarshakra heroes, Colonel Hoshir Singh, Varun Dhawan, Flying Officer Nirmaljit Singh Sekhan, Diljit Dosanjh, and Captain Mahendranath Molla, Ahan Shetty as MS Rawat. Within the mainstream framework that demands bombast rather than nuance, Anurag imbues the spectacle with soul, pausing to reveal the enduring grief war inflicts on families and the heavy toll it takes on the survivors, underscoring the value of safeguarding faith and humanity even amidst profound loss. However, the narrative structure lacks novelty, as it follows the tested formula of tracking the camaraderie and backstories of the four brave hearts before cutting to action on the battlefront. The build-up feels labored, as it takes a long time to get us to the war zone, and then rushes past the crucial battles that define the 1971 war. Varun and Diljit look overage competing in the academy earnest, yet visibly struggling to fit into fatigues. No jacket or airbrushing hides the miscasting. Ahan, meanwhile, seems tasked with recycling nostalgia for his father, Sunil Shetty, in his original role. The moving conversation between younger soldiers Paramvarchima and Vansh Bhardwaj is far more effective, bringing tears, while Mona Singh touches as the classic soldier's mother, and Sonam Bajwa impresses in her brief scenes with Diljit. Yet, every time the narrative flows, the mood is abruptly broken. The original's emotional weight lay in its backstories here. Mehta Rana and Varun create a fancy dress sketch, despite all the Shirosha-orient-coded gender equality on paper. When the focus shifts to war, neither the Indian nor the Pakistani war room discussions look plausible. The focus is on bombastic dialogues and punchlines. While they pump adrenaline, the lack of regard for the situation and protocol irks. The scenes of hand-to-hand combat are rousing, and the use of grenades is impressive. But coming after 120 Bahadur and Dickies, the battle scenes and action choreography feel more instinctive than planned. The VFX, particularly in the naval conflict, look dated and jaded for the times we live in. It's the music that makes you ignore the imperfections and lack of originality. The makers rehash the melodic texture of Dutta's film, yet it works. Anu Malik say Sandi Sadhain gives goosebumps, and Ajit Lamon still stops you in your tracks. And then there is Sunny Deol to steady the uneven storytelling, as Lieutenant Col. Fateh Singh Kalar, loosely inspired by Major General Hardev Singh Kalar. Sunny shapes history in his own image, while others struggle to embody real-life characters. Credited as Dharmendra's son, he is the emotional core and the commanding force of the war drama, showing that bravery is anchored in pain and duty. His performance distinguishes genuine patriotism from jingoism, and he makes logic seem unnecessary as he crosses the minefield with his swagger. On the battlefield, his war cry feels as if it reaches Lahore in real time. As a grieving father, his restraint gives the role authenticity, making the character feel lived in, not performative. Border 2 is currently running in theaters 15. If you're watching Border 2 in PVR cinemas in particular, your experience of the movie will begin even before you sit in the theaters. You'd be greeted by the spirit of patriotism with flags painted on the staff's face and them being clad in traditional clothing. Like most sequels, I expected the Sunny Deol starrer to also hide behind the previous film's shadow and its fame. Luckily, this film doesn't do that. While it isn't nearly as amazing as many would hope for it to be, it used the spirit and valor of the original movie and amplified it further. Border 2. Initial thoughts: there are some stories that drag it out, and then there are those that continue legacies. I immediately understood that Border 2 was going to be a movie about legacies when the casting overlay introduced Sunny Deol as Dharmendra's son. I still stand by not understanding why a sequel needed to be made. However, I don't mind that it was made. If anything, the sequel to J.P. Dutta's movie takes the energy that came with Border and makes it clear that he doesn't want to disrespect anything. This wasn't necessarily a sequel, but another story being told about the 1971 tensions between India and Pakistan under the same film's name. There were also many references to the previous film using iconic dialogues, much like the songs, but that got very old very quickly. Border 2. Direction and cinematography: the CGI was clearly not going to be impressive in Anurag Singh's film, The trailer made it very clear that it was only going to be disappointing. Certain scenes looked purposefully dimmed, but it was just bad CGI making it impossible to see. On the other hand, the T-Series and JP Films movie had ample visual storytelling. A dia was used to signify the faith of the soldiers and why it was so important that it stay lit up at all times. I personally loved how, in the heat of battle, it was kept lit through blood. From a letter to wavering faith in God, Border 2 doesn't treat its audience as stupid, and that is why I respect it more. Border 2 cast review puts the spotlight on everyone. Unlike the first movie, none of the characters in Border 2 feel like stock characters. They weren't there just to fit a role, they had depth and personalities beyond their love for the nation. Sunny Deol's character wasn't just screaming this time, he didn't just live and breathe for the nation, he had a life outside of serving the country, but that didn't mean he loved India any less. Varunda and proved every hater wrong. Going trending just a few days before his film's release, people would obviously be keeping an eye on him more. I have always been a fan of the actor, and no matter the role he plays, he always impresses. However, his Haryanvi accent slipped here and there. Diljit Dosanjh was also a sight to behold, with the spirit of the Air Force going strong with him. Unfortunately, Ahan Shetty got lost in the middle of Dosanjh and Dawan's acting until his very last scene. Mehta Rana, Anurag Singh, Sonam Bajwa and Mona Singh also did well in their respective roles. Each played a wife who stood strongly by their soldier husbands, fighting their inner battles as the men fight a more physical war. Sound design is always a very important element of any movie. If the punches are strong but the music isn't, they will feel flat regardless. The songs themselves were okay, even if they were good, but the choreography simply did not sit well with the songs themselves. Border 2 review. Concluding thoughts: the movie demands that you stick until the very end lest you miss out on all the Easter eggs of the first film. When martyred soldiers are being announced on the radio, the names of all those who died in the first film are also included, confirming that both stories take place side by side. With the credits rolling, the screen shows everyone who died, and that included cameos of Akshay Khanna, Sunil Shetty and others. Was Border 2 everything people wanted to be? Is it still a good movie? Yes, it was unfortunately too dragged out, and the narrative structure felt too haphazard at times. Luckily, the final few sequences and the climax itself put it all together in the end. Border 2 rating, 2.55. Buried in the depths of entertainment, she is a storyteller at heart who isn't afraid to read between the lines. She has a flair for writing about anime and superheroes. If not writing, she would be gaming or scrolling through every new fact she can find about Greek mythology. Life is too short not to turn just one more page. 16. This year's highly anticipated sequel to the 1997 blockbuster Border 2, has not evolved much and doesn't really strike a chord with our truly evolved and refined audiences. Border may have been a blockbuster then, but now with the kind of exposure the viewers have to war films, it doesn't really give us goosebumps. If one has watched The Bridge on the River Kwai or Black Hawk Down, then they can understand how powerful and thought-provoking war films can be. They are not just action-packed tales of heroism, but these films show how complex situations can get. Border 2 is just an extension of the J.P. Dutta directed blockbuster, and it was indeed one of the biggest hits of the 1990s. But filmmakers and craftsmen need to understand that our audiences were different in 1997. Now they have much more exposure with the OTT boom in the country. Patriotism is one thing, and chest-thumping patriotism is another thing. The film has nothing new to say. It has just underestimated the audience's intellect. There are major complexities of historical war films, but Border 2 just fails to show that. Though Sunny Deol still continues to impress with his fitness even at this age, I just wish that the film was a little less noisy and a little more subtle when it came to dialogue bazi. The film could have been a heart-wrenching homage to the Indian Armed Forces and a tribute to their sacrifice, especially those who didn't make it home. But somehow, I feel there was a gap in the intent of the film and its execution. Courage can be silent, but some filmmakers fail to understand that, despite having J.P. Dutta on board as a producer, Border 2 was unable to strike a chord or evoke a memory. Not running down the efforts of the filmmaker and the actors, when the backstories were shown of each of the central characters, Somehow I felt emotional and could relate to a lot of it. You do feel sad for the families, especially the children who miss their fathers while they are at war. The heart does bleed to see the sacrifices made by the families. In fact, rather than the defective war scenes, that should have been the focus of the film, cinematic liberty is one thing, but one should understand that too much cinematic liberty can also be called poor research, and that's exactly what happened to an extremely long, overstretched film like _Border 2 _. Have you ever seen the naval officers on war patrol fighting in their blue uniforms, or rather going for sailing in their blue fitted shirts and navy blue trousers? Well, this film will show you how the naval officers are fighting and even swimming in this particular uniform. This isn't the case actually. They fight in their dungarees or overalls. That poor was the research of the film. But the one thing that I liked about Border 2 is that unlike other war films, it doesn't just show the Army and the Air Force, but the Indian Navy too, which is indeed a very silent, yet powerful force in a war. Another thing, with limited screen time, Mona Singh, Sonam Bajwa, Anya Singh and Mehta Rana played their roles well. Just when you think the film is picking up, there comes a song and massacres the whole thing all over again. Border 2 could have emphasized the inner battles that each of the soldiers fights, but I guess it relied entirely on its previous glory. Out of due respect to each of the soldiers who fought for our country, I sat through the entire film. If you want to watch good war films, I suggest you watch _Ikis_, but definitely not Border 2. Unnecessary jingoism cannot make a film succeed, and most importantly, if the film doesn't handle its own serious theme of the 1971 war with solid research, how can we take it seriously? I guess it is a mass-targeted film and doesn't challenge viewers to think critically. Towards the end, it does get exhausting. You don't act like a soldier, rather your performance needs to be so authentic and honest that you become believable enough to honor the armed forces. 17 Lieutenant Colonel Fateh Singh Kalar, Sunny Deol, with Major Hoshiyar Singh Dahaya, Varun Dhawan, Flying Officer Nirmaljit Singh Sekhan, Diljit Dosanjh, and Naval Officer Mahinder Rawat, Ahan Shetty, lead their troop in the 1971 Battle of Basintar to eradicate the Pakistan Army from infiltrating deep into India. Despite being weaker in strength, as compared to enemies, how the Indian Army, Navy, and Air Force face the enemies with sheer strength, bravery, and the daring, pushing the infiltrators back to their country, securing the Chicken's Neck corridor, preventing Pakistan from cutting off the Patanka-Jammu highway and capturing over 1,000 kilometers of Pakistani territory forms the basic premise of Border 2. When you have a classic war drama like Border, coming up with a spiritual sequel is a challenge in itself. The 1997 blockbuster has made a deep impact on our minds and hearts. The makers of Border 2 are in sync with the sentiments of the audience, and thus, they delivered one of the best war dramas of this decade. Yes, with immense pride and happiness, I would like to state that Border 2 is the best war epic Bollywood has produced this decade. A film that will become a classic, and a textbook for future generations on how to up the ante and deliver the next to impossible task. This piece of filmmaking deserves to be enjoyed on the biggest screen possible. Border 2 has everything in edge-of-the-seat action war actioner, laced with a strong emotional backing, and stellar performances that will leave you teary-eyed. Throughout the movie, there are sequences where your heart will swell with pride, and you'll proudly, loudly celebrate the courage and fearlessness of forces, saluting Bharat Mata Ki Jai with your lungs out. Border 2 is over 3 hours, but you won't be detached, distracted from the screen or even bothered by the runtime for once. The script is the biggest strength of the film. Yes, more than the performances or spectacular, VFX-loaded, practical war sequences. It's the story of Dutta, the engaging screenplay by Sumit Arora and Anurag Singh, that lays the strong foundation of the drama, transporting you to the world of Border 2 with conviction and finesse. In the first half, Border 2 has moments that evokes genuine laughter. The Indian War Academy scenes establish the camaraderie of the lead actors and give out some unexpected but entertaining sequences. The art direction, detailed setting, and cinematography deserve a mention as they've added more realism to the drama. Speaking about the performances, Sunny Deol is the soul of the film. in literal sense. There's no border without our roaring Dil. He commands, rules the screen right from the first frame. At 69, Sunny proved that age is just a number. He delivers an emotionally charged performance, accompanied by some eye-popping stunts that will be met with the loudest hoots and cheers in the cinema halls. No wonder Sunny is the last of the mass superstars of Bollywood. However, Border 2 gives ample scope to other characters as well. Varun Dhawan, the man who was targeted the most since the teaser, will be celebrated as the hero of this epic horror saga. Varun shone like the sun in the role of Hasha Yar Singh Dahaya. It's a rebirth of Varun, the actor who needs a strong script and a master director who can bring the best out of him. His dialect is pitch perfect, his persona is captivating, and he also commands the screen. Even his simplicity or the chemistry with Medharana looks organic and heartening. Ahan Shetty, in his second film, puts out his best performance to date. Ahan has a legacy, laid by his father, Sunil Shetty's iconic Bairan Singh from Border. Ahan didn't let the baggage overpower his performance. Unlike his father's on-screen character, Ahan is calm, composed, but sharp, calculating, and far-sighted. Of course, if you compare both, Sunil was far better than Ahan, but this comparison is unfair on Junior Shetty's part. He has put his best foot forward at work, and despite the limited screen time, especially in the second half, Ahan justifies why he deserves to be a part of Border 2. Ahan will surely evoke nostalgia when you see him echoing Mashakti in the most crucial scene. Diljit Dosanjh's Air Force pilot Sekhan puts out his best performance to date. Diljit justifies the aura and life of Paramvir Chakra Sekhan, and also gives out his signature comic relief moments seamlessly. Diljit and Anurag Singh are a deadly actor-director combo, coming after Punjab 1984. And the director again proved why Diljit is an all-rounder superstar. Diljit will surely win hearts of his fans yet again, and even his haters will hopelessly fall in love with his captivating persona. A special mention to the ladies. Mona Singh provides a huge support to Sunny Deol's character. Her chemistry with Dil is better than Taboos from the original. Sonam Bajwa looks adorably cute, and despite limited screen space, she leaves an impact. Medharana is a surprise discovery. She's the most genuine character in the film. The way she carries the simplicity deserves to be mentioned. Anya Singh, another fine actress, delivers despite a limited scope. Music by Anu Malik, Maitun, Vishal Mishra, Sachet Parampara, and Gurma is also at par with the classic album. The renditions of the original songs, Karkaboj, Jait Hu Lamon, and Hindustan Mariyan are soothing to the ears and well-placed. The background score of John Stewart Eduri also goes well with the narrative. The action of the film is given by Dr. Ravi Varma, Nick Powell, Parvez Sheikh, and Alan Amin, and they merit a huge shout-out. The film will keep you glued and engaged due to its on-screen spectacles. The blasts, the hand-to-hand combat, and tank battles are the best in recent times. The VFX shots that were called out earlier are fixed, and they have brought it closest to realism. Director Anurag Singh will soon be hailed as the biggest filmmaker of Indian cinema. He took the challenge of helming such an ensemble action drama, backed by a strong franchise, and yet took it to another level. Anurag will be referred for his slick filmmaking that never loses focus and keeps the audience entertained by ticking all the boxes. I can go on and on about the film, but the fact remains the same. Border 2 is the best horror drama of the decade. A film that is made with the vision of taking the legacy forward, rather than capitalizing on the franchise's goodwill or audience sentiments. Border 2 will blast in cinemas. The sky is the limit for this film. Border 2 will be the first blockbuster of 2026. It will be remembered for its sheer storytelling, fusion of high-scale entertainment, and strong emotional drama. I'll end this review by asserting that all the haters and trolls will have to dig a big hole and bury themselves deep in it, as the makers of Border 2 have successfully shut down the noise with their blockbuster.